10 Signs of a Powerful Man That Everyone Worships. Machiavelli's Untouchable Man. They tell you power comes from being nice. They say be humble, be grateful, wait your turn. These are lies. Beautiful lies designed to keep you weak while others take what should be yours. I am Niccolo Machiavelli, and I have watched empires rise and fall. I have seen princes become kings, and kings become dust. The secret was never kindness. The secret was never fairness. The secret was understanding one brutal truth. The world belongs to those who take it. What you're about to learn isn't from some motivational speaker who got rich selling dreams. This comes from the blood-soaked halls of power, from the whispered conversations in dark corners where real decisions are made. This is the anatomy of the man everyone fears and follows, the untouchable man. He walks into rooms and conversations stop, not because he's loud, but because he's dangerous. Women study his face for clues he'll never give. Men compete for his approval without understanding why. He doesn't demand respect. He commands it through presence alone. This man operates by 10 rules, 10 signs that separate the wolves from the sheep. These aren't suggestions. They're laws written in the language of power itself. You think you want to be liked? Wrong. You want to be necessary. You think you want to be understood? Wrong again. You want to be feared in the way a storm is feared, not for cruelty, but for the raw force that cannot be controlled. What I'm about to show you will make you uncomfortable. Good. Comfort is where ambition dies. These 10 signs will strip away every pretty lie you've been told about how power works. They will show you why nice guys finish last and why the meek inherit nothing but dirt. This is your choice. Stay safe in the herd or step into the arena where only the ruthless survive. The path I'm showing you is not for everyone. Most will read these words and return to their comfortable cages, grateful for the bars that protect them from the hunt. But if you have the stomach for truth, if you're ready to stop being a player and become the game itself, then listen carefully. Your evolution begins now. Number 1. He masters the art of strategic disappearance. Everyone else is desperate to be seen. They post every meal, every thought, every movement. They attend every party, answer every call, show up to every meeting. They believe visibility equals importance. They are wrong. The untouchable man understands scarcity. He knows that when you are always available, you become like air, essential but worthless because it's everywhere. He disappears at the exact moment when his presence would be expected most. Watch how this works. There's a crisis at work. Everyone expects him to rush in, to fix things, to be the hero. Instead, he vanishes. Radio silence. No explanation. No updates. Just gone. What happens next is predictable. Panic spreads. People ask questions. Where is he? What's he doing? Does he know about this? His absence creates more noise than his presence ever could. They start to fill the void with stories. Maybe he's working on something bigger. Maybe he saw this coming and is already 3 steps ahead. Maybe he's testing them to see how they handle pressure without him. All of these stories make him more powerful, more mysterious, more necessary. When he finally returns, and he always returns at the perfect moment, he does so with new information, new plans, or new victories. His reappearance becomes an event. This is not about being antisocial. This is about manipulating demand. When you remove yourself from the daily noise, your return carries weight. People hang on your words because they've learned not to take your presence for granted. The weak man fears being forgotten. The powerful man makes forgetting him impossible by controlling when he can be remembered. While others are fighting for attention in a crowded room, he's creating his own room where he's the only one worth watching. He doesn't compete for space at the table. He builds a new table where he's the only one sitting. His absence is not emptiness, it's anticipation. And anticipation is the breeding ground of influence. Number 2, his silence is a weapon. In a world where everyone talks, the man who stays quiet becomes terrifying. Not because he has nothing to say, but because when he finally speaks, you know it matters. Most people fill silence because it makes them nervous. They explain, justify, convince, repeat. They think more words equal more power. They are wrong. More words equal more weakness, more points of attack, more ways to be misunderstood. The untouchable man weaponizes silence. When someone accuses him, he doesn't defend. He stares. When someone demands an explanation, he doesn't provide one. He waits. When someone tries to provoke him, he gives them nothing to work with. This creates psychological pressure. The other person starts to squirm. They begin talking faster, explaining more, revealing their true motivations and fears. They fill his silence with their own insecurities, and in doing so, they hand him everything he needs to destroy them. In negotiations, his silence suggests he's unimpressed. It forces the other side to improve their offer, to bid against themselves, to sweeten the deal just to get a reaction. They interpret his quiet as dissatisfaction, as having better options, as being willing to walk away. Socially, his silence creates an aura of deep thought and supreme confidence. People assume he's processing information on a level they can't reach. They lean in, desperate for his judgment, his approval, his acknowledgement. When he finally speaks, his words carry the weight of careful consideration. Every sentence feels deliberate. Every pause feels meaningful. He doesn't waste words on small talk or empty pleasantries. He speaks to move things forward, to end debates, to make decisions. His silence says, "I don't need to prove anything to you. I don't need your validation. I'm here to observe, to calculate, to decide when and if you're worth my words." This is not about being rude. This is about understanding that in a noisy world, the quiet man owns the room. Number 3, he manufactures his own luck. Weak people believe in luck like it's magic. They buy lottery tickets and wish on stars. They wait for opportunity to knock on their door. They blame bad luck when things go wrong and credit good luck when things go right. The untouchable man knows better. Luck isn't random. It's manufactured. It's the result of preparation meeting opportunity, and both can be controlled. First, he prepares for everything. While others are watching television or scrolling through phones, he's studying. He learns his industry inside and out. He knows his competitors' weaknesses before they do. He understands market cycles, human psychology, and the patterns that repeat throughout history. When the lucky break appears, he's the only one ready to grab it. Everyone else sees magic. He sees the inevitable result of superior preparation. Second, he creates opportunities instead of waiting for them. He builds relationships before he needs them. He invests in people and ideas that others ignore. He plants seeds in dozens of different gardens, knowing that some will grow into forests. When one of these investments pays off, people call it luck. He calls it Tuesday. Third, he sees patterns where others see chaos. He watches how people behave under pressure. He notices when markets are about to shift. He feels the change in social winds before the weatherman does. This pattern recognition comes from obsessive observation. While others are living in the moment, he's studying the moment, learning from it, preparing for the next one. When he makes his move, when he buys before the boom, when he sells before the crash, when he backs the right horse, It looks like genius or luck to the outside world. But it's neither. It's just the natural result of seeing clearly while everyone else is blind. He doesn't find lucky opportunities. He creates the conditions where opportunities have no choice but to find him. Number 4, he treats kindness as a currency, not a reflex. Society taught you to be kind to everyone, to smile at strangers, help anyone who asks, and give without expecting anything in return. This is how they keep you poor in power. The untouchable man knows that unlimited kindness is unlimited weakness. When you're kind to everyone, you're special to no one. When kindness costs you nothing, it's worth nothing to the person receiving it. He treats kindness like money. He doesn't throw it around carelessly. He invests it strategically in the right people at the right time for the right reasons. When he chooses to be kind, it feels significant. The recipient feels chosen, selected, elevated above the crowd. This creates loyalty that runs deeper than any contract or agreement. They become bound to him, not by obligation, but by gratitude. But his kindness comes with invisible strings. Not manipulation, but expectation. When someone receives his favor, they understand instinctively that something is now expected in return. Not immediately, not obviously, but eventually. He's equally strategic with his coldness. When someone disrespects him, wastes his time, or proves themselves disloyal, the warmth disappears, not with anger or drama, but with the sudden absence of something they didn't realize they needed until it was gone. This contrast makes his kindness more valuable. People know it can be withdrawn. They know they have to earn it and keep earning it. This makes them work harder, try harder, think twice before disappointing him. The masses give kindness away for free and wonder why nobody values it. The untouchable man makes his kindness rare, precious, and conditional. This transforms it from a weakness into a weapon. He understands that in the economy of human relationships, scarcity creates value. His smile, his help, his attention, these become currencies that people compete to earn. When everyone else is buying, he's selling. When everyone else is giving away kindness for free, he's making it the most expensive thing in the room. Number 5, he is a predator of weakness in others and himself. Most people run from their weaknesses. They make excuses, build stories, and create comfortable lies to avoid facing what makes them vulnerable. This is why they stay weak. The untouchable man hunts weakness like a predator hunts prey. But his first target is always himself. He conducts brutal self-audits. He looks in the mirror and sees every flaw, every fear, every limitation without flinching. He identifies the things that make him vulnerable and systematically eliminates them. Scared of public speaking? He joins Toastmasters and speaks until the fear dies. Weak at negotiation? He studies every book, attends every seminar, practices every technique until he becomes the one others fear to face across the table. This internal war makes him dangerous, but it's only the beginning. Once he learns to spot weakness in himself, he sees it everywhere in others. He watches how people fidget when they lie. He notices who seeks validation, who craves attention, who's desperate to be liked. He observes their fears, their insecurities, their blind spots. He files this information away like a general studying enemy fortifications. This isn't cruelty. This is intelligence. Every person has buttons that can be pushed, levers that can be pulled, weaknesses that can be exploited. The man who sees these clearly has the power to influence, to persuade, to protect himself from attack. When someone tries to manipulate him, he recognizes the technique immediately because he's mastered it himself. When someone tries to intimidate him, he sees through their facade because he knows what real strength looks like. He doesn't use this knowledge to destroy people randomly. He uses it to understand the game being played around him. Knowledge of weakness is power over that weakness. And power, properly applied, can build empires or tear them down. The weak man hides from uncomfortable truths. The powerful man weaponizes them. Number 6, he views morality as a tool, not a master. This is where the sheep separate from the wolves. This is where most people close the book and return to their comfortable cages. But you're still reading, which means you're ready for the truth that terrifies the weak. Conventional morality is a control system. It's a set of rules designed to keep the powerful in line and the weak feeling righteous about their weakness. The meek shall inherit the earth is a lie told to prevent the meek from taking anything while they're alive. The untouchable man sees morality for what it really is, a tool. He can wear virtue like a mask when it serves his purposes. He can speak the language of fairness and justice to disarm his opponents and win the support of the masses. But privately, in the cold calculation of real decisions, he asks only one question: what works? He's not cruel for the sake of cruelty. He's not evil by choice. But he's willing to do what others consider wrong if it's necessary for achieving what matters. He understands that history is written by the victors, and victors are never asked if they played fair. While his competitors are paralyzed by moral hand-wringing, he acts. While they debate the ethics of a decision, he makes the decision and deals with the consequences. This gives him a massive advantage because he can make moves they would never even consider. He operates in the gray areas where real power lives. Black and white morality is for children and fools. Adults understand that most important decisions happen in the spaces between right and wrong. He doesn't see himself as immoral. He sees himself as effective. He measures success not by how clean his hands stay, but by how many of his goals he achieves. This doesn't make him a monster. It makes him realistic in a world where idealists finish last and pragmatists finish first. Number 7, he builds an aura of unpredictability. Predictable people are dead people walking. They just don't know it yet. When your enemies can predict your moves, you become easy to trap, easy to manipulate, easy to destroy. Most people are slaves to their patterns. They react the same way to the same stimuli. They have emotional triggers that can be pushed like buttons. They follow routines that make them vulnerable to those who study their habits. The untouchable man is deliberately unpredictable. Just when people think they understand him, he changes the game. He might be aggressive in one negotiation and patient in the next. He might show mercy where they expect ruthlessness and strike with lightning speed where they expect restraint. This isn't random behavior. This is sophisticated strategy. His unpredictability keeps everyone, allies and enemies alike, in a state of constant alertness. They can't get comfortable. They can't plot effectively because they can't anticipate his response. This forces them to be reactive instead of proactive. They're always responding to his moves instead of making their own. This gives him control of the tempo, the timing, and the terms of every engagement. He uses misdirection like a magician. He appears to want one thing while secretly pursuing another. He lets people believe they understand his motivations while his real agenda remains hidden. He creates false patterns for others to follow while his true pattern stays invisible. Sometimes he's the fox, using cunning to avoid traps. Sometimes he's the lion, using strength to frighten wolves. His enemies never know which version they'll face, so they have to prepare for both, which weakens their focus and divides their resources. This unpredictability becomes part of his reputation. People fear him not because they know what he'll do, but because they don't. The unknown is always more terrifying than the known. Number 8. His generosity is a calculated investment. When weak people give, it's emotion. When powerful people give, it's strategy. The untouchable man's generosity is not random acts of kindness. It's calculated investment designed to yield specific returns: loyalty, obligation, and influence. He doesn't give small gifts that can be easily forgotten or repaid. He gives big gifts that create lasting debt. Not financial debt, but psychological debt. The kind that can never be fully repaid, which means the recipient remains forever in his orbit. When he helps someone, he doesn't just solve their immediate problem. He solves it so completely, so elegantly, that they're left stunned by the depth of his capability and the magnitude of his generosity. This creates two powerful effects. They feel deeply grateful, and they respect his power. His generosity is never random. He doesn't give to everyone equally. He identifies key players, valuable allies, and potential threats, then invests in them strategically. This makes his gifts feel personal and exclusive, which multiplies their psychological impact. He's particularly generous to former enemies after defeating them. This confuses them, disarms them, and often converts them into loyal followers. They expected revenge and received kindness. This creates cognitive dissonance that he can exploit to rebuild the relationship on his terms. His reputation for generosity becomes a tool for recruitment. People want to be in his inner circle because they know he takes care of his own. But they also know that his generosity must be earned and can be withdrawn. He never gives so much that he appears weak or desperate for approval. His generosity comes from a position of strength, as a choice, not as a need. This makes it feel powerful rather than pathetic. When people owe him favors, he rarely collects immediately. He lets the debt grow in their minds until it becomes part of their identity. They begin to see themselves as someone who owes him, which changes how they think and act around him. Number 9. He never shows his true hand. This is the most dangerous knowledge I can give you. Use it wisely. The moment people know what you really want, they have power over you. They can block you, demand higher prices, or use your desires against you. This is why the untouchable man never reveals his true intentions. He always has a decoy objective, something plausible that he broadcasts to the world. He'll argue for it passionately, fight for it publicly, make his enemies believe it's his ultimate goal. While they're busy trying to stop him from achieving this false prize, he's quietly working toward his real objective. He speaks in riddles and metaphors that allow people to project their own interpretations onto his words. This gives everyone a different understanding of what he wants, which makes coordinated opposition impossible. He uses contradictory signals to confuse those trying to read him. One day, he appears to want one thing, the next day, something completely different. This keeps his watchers off balance and prevents them from building accurate models of his behavior. By the time his real plan becomes visible, it's already too late to stop. His victory appears to come from nowhere, leaving his opponent stunned and wondering how they were so completely outmaneuvered. He keeps multiple plans running simultaneously. If one fails, he has backups ready to deploy. If one succeeds beyond expectations, he's ready to capitalize. This redundancy protects him from catastrophic failure while maximizing his chances of dramatic success. His true desires remain locked in the vault of his mind. He may share pieces with trusted advisors, but nobody gets the complete picture except him. This makes him impossible to betray because no one has enough information to cause real damage. When people try to guess his motivations, He neither confirms nor denies their theories. He lets them believe what they want to believe while using their misconceptions to his advantage. Number 10. He creates his own reality. This is the final sign, the ultimate expression of power. The untouchable man doesn't just play the game, he designs the board, writes the rules, and chooses the players. While others react to circumstances, he creates them. While others follow trends, he sets them. While others adapt to reality, he builds reality around his vision. He frames every conversation, every negotiation, every interaction in terms that favor his position. He controls the language used to discuss issues, seeding ideas that make his preferred outcomes seem logical and inevitable. He doesn't just win arguments. He makes arguing against him seem foolish. He constructs reality in such a way that opposition to his plans appears irrational, destructive, or self-defeating. He builds systems where his strengths matter and his weaknesses are irrelevant. If he's better at long-term thinking than quick action, he creates environments where patience is rewarded and haste is punished. If he's better with small groups than large crowds, he builds influence through intimate networks rather than mass appeal. He cultivates a personal mythology that makes his success feel inevitable. People begin to believe in his victory as a force of nature. They surrender not to his arguments, but to the reality he has constructed around them. He doesn't just change minds, he changes the context in which minds operate. He shifts the fundamental assumptions people use to make decisions, which means even when they disagree with him, they're still operating within his framework. This is the ultimate power, not just winning within the existing system, but becoming the system itself. Not just influencing the game, but becoming the game. The world doesn't happen to him. He happens to the world. You now hold the blueprint. 10 signs that separate those who rule from those who serve. 10 principles that distinguish predators from prey. This knowledge is dangerous. Not because it will make you evil, but because it will make you effective. And in a world where effectiveness is confused with cruelty, you will be misunderstood. They will call you cold. Let them. Their warmth has brought them nothing but mediocrity. They will call you calculating. Good. Calculation beats emotion every time. They will say you've changed, that you're not the same person you used to be. They're right. The person you used to be was someone they could control. You have 2 choices now. You can close this book, return to your comfortable cage, and pretend these truths don't exist. You can go back to being nice, being fair, being predictable. You can continue to play by rules designed to ensure you never truly win. Or you can choose power. You can begin practicing these principles. Start with silence. Learn to hold your tongue when others expect you to speak. Hunt your own weaknesses before they become weapons in enemy hands. Make your kindness rare and valuable. Create mystery where others create transparency. This path is not easy. It requires discipline, patience, and the courage to be hated by those who cannot understand strength. The weak will always resent the strong. The sheep will always fear the wolf. But sheep are meant to be sheared. Wolves are meant to hunt. The choice is yours. Remain a piece in someone else's game, or become the master of your own. The untouchable man is not born. He is made. He is forged in the fires of harsh truth and tempered by the cold water of reality. He could be you, if you have the courage to take what's yours.